Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see this time we are going to talk about fresh release from Tamiya, and we just reviewed their new Ducati, so now we are checking the car model, and it's a Nissan Z, so it's so-called coupe fairway DZ in RZ34 generation, and Tamiya decided to copy it in both versions. It means we will get it in US or Japan spec, depends on you which one you choose. And of course we have a commercial sample here, so that means that this kit was bought with your donations, and we have a chance to take a closer look in order to understand what is actually included here. And first of all, you can notice that this is a kit number 363. It's written here. We also have a short list of the features. Of course, we have the metal transfers, we have the two configurations as I said, we also have some rubber tires and detailed static model, of course. And overall, I have to say that this generation of the Z car from Nissan looks really good. It's a shame that it's not sold in Europe, but as you can see, at least we have a chance to copy it in 1/24 scale. So the box size is typical for this brand. Here is comparison with my hand. I really like this box art, and do not forget that this is actual drawing. This is not a digital imaging. And here on the side you can see also some propositions on how to paint. So these are original paint colors which you can get for the real car. So here we have suggestion on how to copy it for your model. And of course here we have also some information about the real subject, which is covered by the reseller here. And we also have it written in Japanese and the list of the possible paint colors. So let's open it. It's a top opening box. And here's what we have inside. So that was the check for the purchase. And inside you'll find all the parts nicely packaged into separate plastic bags, which is really cool because it means that nothing will be scratched because of tight packaging. But it is also a bit tedious because Tamiya loves to pack the parts with the staples. So now I'm going to take the debonder or staple removal tool and open the first plastic bag in order to see what is actually supplied there and to take a closer look. And I suggest we start with quite an interesting subject. That's the car body part, which is packed into a separate plastic bag, even though I would prefer to have it in the plastic, actually cardboard box, but we have it here in the plastic bag only. So first of all, I have to note that the bumper, I think that's the rear one, is molded separately, so here it is. I think this one is understandable, but I will open it as well while you are looking at this part. So this is the car body, which is molded in a white plastic, and as you can see we have nicely copied all the curves of the real car, but doors are molded shut, so you won't be able to open them and expose the interior on your model. That's quite a shame, but Tamiya recently keeps on doing such things, so that's something not surprising at all. And the same can be said about the trunk and the bonnet of this car, because as you can see they're also molded shut here, but at least they have really nice sculpting. As you can see we have all the features preserved. And also that might be a good thing for beginner modelers, because they will be able to assemble nice model without any additional problems. By the way, here as you can see we have some minor roof features such as screen visors or sun visors, and also we have a separate roof panel, so do not be surprised by this surface. It was done intentionally in order to simplify the painting process, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a few seconds when we will be checking other black sprue parts. But first I promised that we would also take a look at this rear bumper, so I think we can zoom in even closer and maybe open the lenses a bit. So as you can see it comes as a single piece part. We also have the PDC sensors here pre-molded, so there are quite tiny things or features, but they're still visible. And of course the attachment points should be placed right on this installing tab. And while you're looking at this bumper, I will open the next plastic bag, which is dedicated to black sprue as I promised, because here we have more of the body parts and we also have some drivetrain parts as well. So even though we have the bonnet shut, still we have some features included into the standard package. So I'm going to remove it right now, and I will show it in a second. So first of all, it's a sprue D, And here we have the main feature. Maybe I will not be zooming out for now, so that you can see what I'm talking about. So this is the roof panel. As you can see, it is also nicely polished and looks as good as the previous body part, but that's the point. We have the top, let's say, roof panel and also the trunk panel molded out of black plastic to make it easier to copy the double color marking option or painting option of the real car. And that's a really cool feature which should speed up the overall painting process. Next, we continue with some minor parts for the headlamps, because headlamps also have the back in the back plating in the black color. We also have some elements for the front bumper. Next, we continue with the drivetrain, as I was saying. So here we have some of the suspension parts, and here, as you can see, we also have the rear wheel drive, the main feature of this car, because as you remember, all Z cars are featuring the rear wheel drive, and this one is not an exclusion from such rule. And next, I'm opening the one more plastic bag. So here we have clear sprue, and in the meantime, I can say that this separate black roof panel, obviously professionals will be painting it over with the black color, but I think for some models it should suffice, because as you can see, it features this really nice gloss finish. So as long as you are fine with such thing on your model, you will be okay with installing such part on your car body, and it will speed up the assembly process and actually let you focus on other important things during the assembly. So here, as I said, we have the clear parts. There are a lot of clear parts here. As you can see, we have windscreen, also the rear screen, side windows, and also here we have headlamp lenses. Here we have the tail lights. For the tail lights, as you can see, we have the frosted finish. So if I zoom in, you understand what I'm talking about. And I see that Tamiya nicely copied this LED strips which are installed in the tail lights. This is a really cool feature, and I think that's something what is always tricky with modern cars recently, because they all feature such tail lights which are more or less, let's say, packed with LEDs, and you have to copy it in the scale. For some models it might be a bit tricky. For some modelers, I saw some builds that they actually try to install the real LEDs in order to get a even more impressive look, but that's up to you, because obviously this thing will be way more involving than just painting the clear parts. Next, we continue with the sprue B. This one again comes in a black color, so again I'm opening the lenses so that you can see more. So what we have here is the interior tub, let's say. We also have the steering wheel here. We have the screen wipers. Next, we continue with side seals. We also have some parts for the under bonnet engine compartment. Note that the seats, they should be assembled out of several parts, which is also a small trick of this kit. It will help you to get the two color paint scheme on the seats. We also have some interior parts here. So just to give you a better idea about the dashboard, if I zoom in here, you can see that these dashboards are provided in two versions. As I was saying, we can copy the US spec or we can copy the Japan spec car. And as for the interior tab, it is quite simple. As you can see, it's molded together with the trunk, because that's the original design of the car, and that's why Tamiya decided to make it easier so that you don't have to, let's say, work with a separate interior plate and separate trunk plate. They are basically interconnected, and it will make it easier to place everything properly during your build. Next, we continue with one more plastic sprue. So here I can see that we have another set of black parts, so just give me a second. For this car, I also wonder if real car will get its Nissan variant sooner or later, because all the previous Z cars, be it 350 or 370, they were getting the Nissan version, which is even more, I would say, aggressive looking. So who knows, maybe this one will get it as well. But for now, I expect maybe some conversion sets which will help you copy, for example, the Rocket Bunny with help of some resin parts. So here we have another black plastic sprue, and these are wheel rims which look really good. As far as you can see, they're the same width, and we also have the front lip, we have the front grille, and another part for the front grille, so everything looks really cool. Wheels are basically ready to be used out of the box, and here you can check these parts from the opposite side. So these are, I would say, typical Tamiya parts. They're placed on really thin attachment points, so I don't think you'll have any issues with working with all this stuff. Maybe, again, if you would like to make your model a bit more different, you can go with some aftermarket wheel rims, because it will make your car a bit more interesting in appearance and of course a bit more different. But it's up to you, because it involves extra money unless you have such accessories in your collection. Next, we going on with the gray plastic sprue, actually silver one, and it's not difficult to guess that here we have all the mechanical parts for the model. I'm trying to close the lenses. Yeah, now you should be able to see more because it's not that bright. So here we have the gearbox, we also have the chassis parts or subframe parts for the front and rear suspension, we have the brake discs. Also, here we have the brake drums. I can see more of the exhaust piping here, and that's pretty much all. So, as far as you can see, we do not have the engine cockpit here, which is rather surprising. But again, if you remember the fact that we have the closed bonnet, it's pretty much self-explanatory, because basically you are not able to expose anything under the bonnet, so that's why Tamiya had a chance to skip it, and they used it. Next, we continue with the last plastic sprue. Here I can see that we have the white plastic frame, so I'm opening it right now. But again, if you have some experience with Tamiya, you should be able to understand that these white parts will be mostly used for external bodywork, as well as some interior parts which require additional painting, and white color is actually used so that you can get the necessary color shade without any additional problems. So what I would like to show first is this lower panel of the car, and here we will have to close the lenses and maybe zoom in a bit. So you can see we have a lot of stuff pre-molded. If I flip it over, you can see the actual thing which will be visible on the finished model, because this one obviously will be covered by the interior tab. Next, we also have here the nice front bumper. It's a one-piece assembly, so basically you just have to separate it off the frame and you are good to go. For these seats, here you can see this two-piece assembly design which I was mentioning before. So what is the idea of this, let's say, approach? That you paint the base part in the black color, you paint this middle inserts and this one in a red color, for example, and you get a really nice combination of the colors. You don't have to waste your time with masking or something else, so that's really cool. Next, we continue with the side skirts here, so for both sides obviously. Next, we continue with more parts, aerodynamic parts for the front lips and also air scoops. As far as you can see here, we have the door cards, which are molded separately, but as you remember, we have doors molded shut. Here we have also brake drums for front and rear, and that's pretty much all. Actually, these were not brake drums but brake calipers, but still you get the idea. And next I'm going to, well, I'm not sure if it's worth opening it, because these are typical vinyl tires and we all know what is this. So we have here a nice tire pattern, but we do not have anything written on the tire walls. So if you would like a bit more realistic appearance, I would rather recommend to go for the aftermarket, because it will give you a better appearance as well as a bit more realistic look on your model. Next, I will have to tear the plastic back with decals, because it's not closed with help of staples, it's actually closed with help of, let's say, sealing it off. And what we have here, as you remember, we have the chrome stickers. So let's zoom in. These chrome stickers will be used for the badges and also for the side view mirrors and central view mirror as well, or rear view mirror. Next, we continue with actual decals. So there is no mentioning where they were printed, But we have here the decals even for the pedals, and this is really interesting. But again, everything looks really nice. We have also some number plates here. And I can see we also have some Nissan logos. I'm not sure where they will be applied, but we have them included. I guess these strips will be used for the tail light in order to replicate the LED, as I was saying before. And I can see that we get the masks, and surprisingly they're pre-cut. So all these masks will be used for the clear parts. And as you can see, even for the headlamps and taillights, that's really cool because it will help you get the nice paintwork without going for some aftermarket accessories which will cost you extra. Next we continue with the tech tips. This is a standard Tamiya brochure, so nothing special. Here you will find some tips on how to assemble model in case you would like to learn a bit more. But obviously if you are going for such project, you already know what to do. Next, we also have some background information, which is unfortunately printed in black and white, and I'm still not sure why Tamiya keeps using this approach for at least this brochure, because in a color it would be way more handy, especially considering the fact that it gives you a closer look at these main features of the car: headlamp, tail light, and also some interior parts. Here you can also see a short history note, so everything looks cool, but again, I'm not fan of the black and white brochures for this price, let's say. Next we continue with assembly manual. So this one is also black and white. We have some assembly let's say tips, and also cautions and warnings and recommended tools on the first page. Next we continue with the notice that you have to choose which spec you will be assembling. It means there is Japan spec, US spec number 1 and US spec number 2, so be careful and decide in advance so that later you won't have to change everything again. So, assembly process starts with the floor panel. As you can see here, we have to install the gearbox part. Of course, some of these things will have to be painted separately and masked off, as you can see, so be ready for that. Next, we continue with the brake. So, these are front brakes. As far as you can see, they are being installed onto this sub-chassis. And next, we continue with the... I can see that this is a steering rack. Next we continue with the differential. Here we continue with more brakes. These are actually rear ones, so the rear wheel axle gets assembled together and inserted into the place on the floor panel. And then finally we start working on the exhaust. Next we continue with the rear... It's written member, but it's obviously the strengthening part for better rigidity of the car body. Next we continue also here with the exhaust. You install the dampers, housings, and you start working on the interior. With interior there will be plenty of masking, because as you can see not all parts should be in black. And that's why it will be a bit tricky. Also you have the special bar, which again increases the or strengthens the car body. Here actually you get the option to choose whether you would like to assemble the US or Japan spec. And also it will define the pedals installment, obviously. Next we continue with more side panels on the central column. Here we start working on the seat, and that's exactly what I was talking about. As you can see, we have 3-layer assembly. And next is the steering column with the steering wheel and separate airbag and buttons. Here we have door panels. So again, some of the decor panels are being painted separately, and that's really cool feature. And for the speakers we have a special decal, as you remember. Next we continue with the masking guide for the front. It means for the windscreen and for the rear screen. So as you can see, we can paint them separately and then just insert it into the car body. Here we also paint the car body, and then we start installing the windshield. And here, by the way, it will be a bit tricky because windshield has the sensors panel in the middle. Here we paint in the windows, and then we attach in the windows into the right spot. That's actually the roof installment. And then we continue with the side seals, also side skirts, rear bumper, and that's the, as far as you can see, tail lights being installed. So there are plenty of painting tips on how to get the proper finish. Next we continue with the rear panel. And also here we start working on the front bumper, which combines a lot of parts together, surprisingly a lot. We have the separate masking guide for the headlamps, because they also require the seals to be painted in black. Here, by the way, you can see the headlamp bodies being painted into several colors. Again, pay attention to what should be done in what way. And then you join together the car body and the lower floor panel. You assemble the wheels, combine them together with the vinyl tires. You install them on the right spot. Here we have the chrome decals application. And last steps are the handles and side view mirrors from both sides, obviously. Here we have more logos being applied on the car. Again, their choice will depend on the specification of the car you will choose. You also have the black and white marking guide, but I would recommend to find the photos of the real car, and here are some tips on how to apply the decals. So overall, we get a really nice car model in a 1/24 scale from the famous manufacturer. It should be already available, so you can get it easily in any good model shop. And of course, I would like to say thank you for giving me a chance to review it. And if you have something to say about this kit, write it here in the comment section below. And I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye.